Welcome back to the Creatively Curious podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walter. In today's episode, I'll be talking about square four of the change cycle, and this is where things feel really good. It's called the Promised Land, and the mantra for this stage is change is happening, and that's okay. And things happen so quickly and so frequently now that basically it sort of feels like we're just in a perpetual cycle of change. So if you get into the square for some reason, then you can usually expect it to change pretty quickly. But so stage four or square four, I keep wanting to say stage, but square four is where things are working well, your relationship is going well, kids are sleeping through the night, you've had surgery, but now you're healed, you're strong, you're you're back, but you're different. So you've gone through a change and you come out of this change transformed. And usually the moves that you're making in this square are smaller, but they're outward, but you're just making small tweaks because usually things are going pretty well. So in to use me as an example, I'm thinking about my knee surgery that I had, which granted was 2 years ago, but being my fourth knee surgery, it's taken me a really long time to get back to my strength. And I would say only now, so it's almost 2 years, only now am I feeling stronger. Like I have more strength in my knee than I have in a really long time, even since before the surgery, because I had injured my knee about a year prior to the surgery. So lost a bunch of muscle in my leg even before the surgery. So I feel like, knock on wood, I'm in the promised land for at least my knee. But having said that, it was my fourth surgery. I've got some arthritis in there. So it's not like I'm, a 20-year-old or a 16-year-old with my knee, but things are feeling pretty good. And, I can just keep doing what I'm doing with strengthening and walking and cycling and all those things. So hopefully I don't get thrown back into square one regarding my knee. But so to use another example of how we've moved across the country, and I feel like that threw me into square one for a lot of things. That I wouldn't say I'm in square four at all. And sometimes I feel like I can be right back into square one. But, we're making some changes here to the house that we live in. So that feels like kind of square two, square three work. And we're finding different places in the city that we like to go to. So, same thing, we're kind of dreaming and scheming about the life we want to have here. But, we just went through Christmas and um, we don't have family here. So that felt more challenging than I thought it would. And it's not like we're close enough to even drive to where family are. So that has been a bit of just feels like back to square one for me. And that's okay, right? Because it's a big change, and so we're going through this cycle. It'll probably be even a year, and it's the shorter, we've had the shortest days of the year. It's not as cold here as it would be in from where I came from, but it's shortest days of the year, colder, things aren't growing, all of those things. So that can kind of feel like a bit of stage square one anyway for the winter months here because it's cold and things that's important to me too is like growing. I'm a big gardener, so I always feel at this time of year where I'm just eager to have something grow. So sometimes I'll just even put things in a jar, like a tulip. I can put tulips in a jar, or uh, what is that bulb? Amaryllis, and have that bloom in February. And actually, I started to think about growing I'm going to try some lettuce seeds so that I have something growing inside. That always gives me some hope. So So in the square four, which is the promised land, you have two things to do in the square. Number one is rest until you feel like playing, and number two, play until you feel like resting. And that's something that Martha Beck says. Basically, kind of in general, that's how she lives her life, which I really love. And something I had written down, how good are you willing to let it get in this square? And in order for things not to feel stagnant, because that can also happen, is that we're in this square with our work, with our relationships, with our homes, with our everything, then it sometimes can feel boring and stagnant. And in order for it not to feel that way, have she recommends, Martha Beck recommends having continuous creative responses. So, and obviously being a creative podcast, that is what makes me feel most alive and makes me feel my best is when I'm creating. And even like that's why I'm talking about the gardening, is that feels like creating. I'm putting little seeds in some dirt and watching it bloom. And anything like coming through the holiday season, I do a lot of baking. That feels creative to me. I try some new recipes. So anything that feels creative to you, whatever that means, like that could be dancing or crocheting or knitting or just anything that we're responding to. I mean, my kids, I feel like they're creating all the time. They had these little porcelain animals that they received, and so they get out the paint that comes with it and they happily slap the paint down, and everything they've been doing over the holidays is creative. And I just feel like I wish we all could live like that every day, that we just respond to life in a creative manner. And I do feel that we would feel better. We would all be happier. Um, so look forward to things that make you feel good, and that's going to be different for each of us. So um, get curious about something. And I've been doing some more coaching recently, and one thing I have found is that people have a really hard time sometimes answering what they want, what would feel really good to you. And so if that question is hard for you to answer, just sit with that discomfort and see what's coming up for you. And it does sometimes feel hard to think that, because I think we've been conditioned out of being able to go for what we want, to feel like we deserve that, and to feel like that is what we're here to do. But I can't help but think that that is what we are here to do, is to want what we want, to dream about what we want, to really let how that feeling would feel it now in our bodies, and believe that that can be true for us, whatever that is. And again, it will be different from one person to another, and it can be really different from what culture tells us we should want, like the newest, I don't even know, because I don't listen to an Xbox, or what do my kids say? They want some Nintendo Switch thing or whatever it is. Um, I don't know. Like recording this in a totally different location, so I apologize if you're watching this, but I'm in my basement, but I'm looking out at the trees and I just think, oh, I want to be there. I want to be outside with nature. Like I went for a walk on Christmas Day with my husband, and it just was so lovely to just be in nature, and it was so quiet. Hardly anyone was on the path. And I think we need more of that. Or I need more of that. That's what I want. So what do you want? And going into the new year, really let yourself dream, dream, dream. That's that square two. And don't restrict it, and then don't go into the feeling, because immediately what happens is we'll go into like, oh, I can't afford that, or I can't have that. That's not possible for me. Don't do any of that. Just let yourself dream it, feel what it feels like to have that. Slowly, maybe take some steps. That's like a square three. And before you know it, you'll be in square four with that, whatever that is that you want. So that is the podcast for today. Square four, the promised land. This is all part of the change cycle. I'll put a link to the image of the change cycle. And that's the last podcast for 2025. And I have some big things planned. I'd like to do some interviews. And so hopefully you will keep tuning in. And if you like this podcast, please rate and review it and send it to a friend who you think would appreciate this content. And so happy New Year, everyone. And I'll see you in 2026.